Hi everyone, welcome back. So I'm finally coming to you today with a tanning tips video. Fake tan, self-tan, not the real thing. As you can see, I'm obviously a redhead, which means I am the palest of the pale. I have a bit of tan on today. I could literally be in the sun for 3 months straight and I still wouldn't get a tan. And I always say I would burn in a hot press. If you're from Ireland, you might know what that is. I burn so easily, so I'm really careful in the sun, and as a result, I really rely on fake tan during the summer. And then whenever I do post on social media the tan that I'm wearing, or if ever I chat to you in vlogs about my tan and stuff, I do get lots of questions from you. Specific questions about the tan I use, but also just general tan questions. So I figured I'd make a video because I find this kind of stuff really helpful when people share tips with me and when I was kind of like learning to perfect how to do it. So I wanted to do a video as well and hopefully it will help some of you. So let's get right into it. I have a little list of things I want to talk about here. Okay, so before I jump into all the tips and tricks and everything, I will show you the exact tan that I use straight off the bat. If you follow me for a while, you already know this. I'm actually an ambassador for Be Perfect, full disclaimer. They actually didn't ask me to do a specific video about my tanning routine or tips or anything, but being an ambassador for them over the past like 9 months to a year, I get the same questions over and over again. So I figured it would be so useful just for me and for those of you who follow me, for me to actually sit down and like chat about why I use this tan for my pale skin, like the best ways to use it, and then obviously just including general tan tips within all the questions and answers as well. But straight off the bat anyway, this is the one I use. It's the Be Perfect 10-second tan. I rotate between colors, and I'll get to kind of this as well later and about choosing your right shade and how you know and if you're starting and all that. But they have a medium coconut shade, which is obviously a little bit lighter, and then they have their dark watermelon shade, which is a bit darker and which I kind of use for more special occasions, like if I have a wedding or if I'm going to the beach and I'm in a bikini. This is the one that saves my life. Trust me. So these are the two that I use. And then in relation to how I like put it on and how I get it smooth, I will say I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I feel like we kind of all hear these same tips over and over, but I will say the most important part is prepping your skin accordingly. You have to give your body a scrub before you put tan on. If you have dry skin, if you have areas that the tan's going to cling to, no matter what tan you're using, whether it's Be Perfect or whether it's like a really expensive tan or whatever it is, no matter what one it is, it's not going to look nice unless your skin is ready for it. So the day before, I always say the day before you do your tan, that's when you prep. Because if you do it the morning of or like right before you put tan on, it's just not going to work, especially if you're shaving your legs. And if you shave your legs right before you put tan on, you're going to get those like really annoying, frustrating bumps. That's where that comes from, because the tan goes like into your pores. So always do your prep the day before. Scrub, shave, just like get it all out of the way. You can moisturize as well the day before. Have your skin silky and smooth and just ready for the application the next day. So then say it's the next day. So say it's Monday, you've exfoliated, you've shaved, you've moisturized, your skin is ready to go. Then Tuesday you want to put on the tan. And I always shower before I put my tan on. But the trick here is, and I think something that some of us forget, is don't use any like shower gel or moisturizer here that's too heavy and kind of like gets onto your skin too much. That makes any sense? Like you want to use a really light like jelly shower gel at this point so that it won't affect the application of your tan, because I've done that in the past. I've used a really kind of like creamy shower gel right before I put my tan on, and then the tan, it just never comes out the way I want it to come out. I was always like, why is this happening? But I think that actually plays a big part. So just keep your like shower routine before your tan very simple. Then when it comes to applying your tan, I have a few tips and tricks. I have them written down here. So I think obviously the main issue we all have is getting tan in places that you don't want it to be, like getting it kind of like built up on your elbows, on your ankles, like on your knuckles. And how do you avoid this? So basically it's pretty simple. I have two kind of tricks for this. One is to moisturize these areas. I know I said earlier no moisturizing before you apply the tan, but you do moisturize the areas like that. So I put a little bit of moisturizer along my knuckles, a little bit in here, a little bit on my elbows and on my ankles. They're the areas for me that can get very dry. Sometimes here where you have your bra, that area can be kind of dry, so you could put a little bit of moisturizer on there. You'll know yourself, like test it out a few different times and see what works the best, but this is such a lifesaver. And secondly, when it comes to applying the tan, so obviously I use this Be Perfect one and it's the liquid one. So Like it's a spray top. And I know Kaylin actually sprays it on, so say this is the kind of mitt that I use, plain, simple. I'm not too fussy about the mitts, but this is the one that I use, like this. So some people spray it onto the mitt, even when it's a liquid. Like I know when it's a mousse, especially people spray it on, but even with liquid, some people spray it on and then you like rub in your tan all around. But I actually spray it onto my body, and I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I really don't know, but it works for me. So what I'll do is I'll take it in sections. I'll spray my arm first, then I'll do here, my stomach, and then move on to my legs, obviously my back, everything. But I do find the trick for getting your hands and your ankles and stuff as smooth as possible is don't spray directly onto those areas. So what I'll do is I'll spray along all my arm like this, then obviously I'll get my mitt, I'll rub it in, but I'll only rub the excess from here onto my hands and my fingers. I won't spray directly onto my hand when I'm doing the spray along the arm. And I think this makes a huge difference because you only want to really kind of like drag the excess along to those tricky hard places, because otherwise it could just be too dark. And that's what happens in those areas. It's just a buildup of too much tan. So that's my trick for that kind of issue. And I do the same with my legs. I spray, and then I just bring the excess onto my foot and like my kind of toe area. And also I forgot to mention, when you are doing your fingers, so you make this kind of like claw shape, if that makes any sense, kind of like this, and then you want to get, I'm sorry, I'm like looking in the thing, but you want to get inside each of those like gaps and make sure you get in. Not so much with your toes, doesn't matter as much, you obviously want it to be even, but with your fingers especially, because you don't want that dreaded, you know, white mark in the middle. So they're kind of my main tips with the application. I would say to you, if you're starting off with tan, if you're very new to it, if you're so petrified of being orange like I was for so many years, and imagine being orange with basically orange hair, it's a lot harder, trust me. So if you're very like nervous at the beginning, like just start light. Start with a light shade. You just want to get that glow. Like I always just wanted a glow, like something just to take away that whiteness from my skin. And then as I got more used to tan and I really started to like having it on, and say I wanted to go on a sun trip and I wanted to be a bit darker, that's when I started like going up the ladder in the shades. But I started off really light. Well, actually when I was younger I probably wore tan that was way too dark for me. I think we all had that era of our lives. But when I got older and kind of got back into tan over the last few years, that's when I really started off light and then just like built my way up to the darker one. I will say in the winter I wear the medium coconut more, like just when I want a bit of a glow in those winter months, but I'm not going around in a bikini every weekend. But then for the summer I do find myself wearing their dark watermelon tan so much. I love this. I actually have it on today. I just put a coat on this morning, so it's still kind of developing. But that's kind of like the main application prep side of things. If you follow all those steps pretty carefully, you should have no problem. As I said, there will be times when you'll have tan disasters, but the more you kind of practice and the more you like do it and figure out what works for you, the better you will get. So that's kind of that side of the video. And then I do want to have a chat more about the tan that I use. Obviously there's loads of tans out there, so many to choose from, and I tried so many tans like throughout the years, and then I found this tan. They actually got in touch with me probably nearly a year ago at this stage, and they were like, we love what you do, we'd love to work with you. And always when I saw a tan brand coming in, I was always like, oh god, I wonder will this one work, because I had tried so many and so many different brands that got in touch with me collaborating, but then I tried the tan and it just wouldn't suit my skin tone. Because when you are pale, I think you're a really good test for a tan brand, because when you're a bit more tanned and you have like naturally darker skin, it's a little bit easier, I think. But when you're pale, you're like a true test for a brand. So I tried loads anyway, and lots of them didn't work for me. I just kind of got on with it. But then Be Perfect got in touch, and I liked that they were an Irish company as well. So I tried them out, and as soon as I tried it, I was like, wow, okay, this is like almost too good to be true. And I'm not just saying this because I work with them. This was like before I worked with them. I actually think I was at home in Ireland when I was testing it out, because I sent it to my Kerry home. and I had tried the medium coconut, and straight from the get-go I love coconut. I love the coconut scent, so I absolutely loved the smell of it, because so many tans, and I'm sure we're all familiar, so many tans stink. And like, I will say one thing about this, people do say to me like, it still does have, like, you can smell the coconut and you can smell like a bit of the watermelon, but at the end of the day it still does have like a little bit of a tan scent. I think it's very hard not to have that, but once you shower after your 8 to 12 hours, like, obviously that goes away, so you kind of have to just grin and bear it for the first while. But the coconut on the medium is so nice, and you do smell that straight away. So I loved that initially, so I tried the tan, and straight away there were so many reasons that I loved it. One, it's so easy. I'm not even just saying that, it is so easy. As I said, I spray it on, I rub it in, and it dries so quickly. Like, it's called 10-second tan for a reason. Obviously I give it like, you know, a few minutes to dry in, and I won't put on my clothes like within the first 5 minutes. But even if you're in a rush, like, you'll get away with it. It just dries in so fast, and as a result I think that's why it's like even, because you don't give it that chance to like things rub off it. It just sits into your skin really nicely. So very quick and easy, dries fast. Another question that I do get is, if you put it on in the morning, like, can you put on your clothes and go off and do your day? And 100%. I kind of like vary. Sometimes I'll put it on in the morning, like after my shower in the morning, and then I let it kind of dry in and develop throughout the day. And then sometimes I'll put it on before I go to bed at night. So it really depends, but personally I actually prefer putting it on in the morning, and that just goes to show that you don't really have that sticky feeling or like smelly tan feeling. It dries in really nicely, and then you can kind of see it developing throughout the day. Like, when you put it on first, it is like, you know, tinted, it is a tan color, so you will see a difference straight away, but it does get darker as the time goes on. And someone actually just messaged me before I did this video, and they're like, I put on my tan, like, how long do I have to wait before I shower? And I always say 8 hours. If you can wait 8 hours, it gives it a better chance of developing fully, and then you'll have a nicer kind of like darker, better glow. So do give it a chance. So if I put it on in the morning, I probably won't shower until before I go to bed, to give it a proper chance to settle in. And then other than that, people do ask me, does it come off on your bed sheets? And with this one, sometimes it does for me and sometimes it doesn't. So I can't really figure out that one, to be honest. Like, I will say, like, there has been times, I'll be completely honest, I've woken up and it does like go on the pillowcase. Like, and I sleep in an all white bed because I love white beds and I just can't change that. So sometimes it does go on the pillowcase, but then sometimes I'll put it on and there'll be absolutely nothing. So I can't really figure that one out. Maybe it just depends on the time of day that I'm putting it on, or if I put it on right before bed, maybe then it will go on the sheets. But if I put it on in the morning, and then by the night time it'll be fine. But if you are worried about that, I would just put it on in the morning, shower before you go to bed, and then it probably, like, I'm not saying definitely, but it probably won't go on your bed. But it's definitely not the worst. I've had tans that have ruined my sheets, and this one definitely isn't like a ruiner. Like, there's way worse than it. So it's good on that front as well. And then the next question I do get asked is, like, do I reapply? So it says on the bottle, actually, it says on the bottle that it lasts for 3 to 5 days, and I fully agree with that. 4 days is kind of my max with it. So say now I'm just having a regular week in New York and I put it on a Monday morning, it will definitely last me until the weekend, and then I'll take it all off, I'll do my prep, my scrubbing, shave my legs, whatever I have to do, and then I'll reapply it for the weekend again. But if I go on holidays, this is a question that I get a lot. If I go on holidays, I do reapply more often. So say now I'm going on holidays tomorrow, which is, what is tomorrow? Wednesday. And say I put on my tan tonight. So I'll put on my tan tonight, I'll go on my trip tomorrow, I'll get to my destination. There's a good chance again that I'll reapply by Thursday. I do reapply more often when I'm on holidays because that keeps it. Because obviously when you're out in the sun or you're putting on sun cream, like, there's all these different like things that are affecting it more than like your regular day-to-day life. So I will say regular life, like, you want it just for a week, apply once, take everything off, reapply. But if you are going on a trip that you're in a bikini every day and you want it to stay even and stay dark, then I would reapply more often. You'll know yourself, it definitely depends per person, but I will say with this tan as well, like even if you do reapply pretty soon after the first application, it doesn't go like crazy, if you get me. Like it doesn't look like you're wearing a mountain of tan. It's still natural, and I guess that's the main reason that I do love Be Perfect, because it still looks super natural on me. Like even when I wear the dark one, people are still like, oh, it's such a nice glow, like it looks lovely on you, and that's always what I want. I never want to be like an Oompa Loompa, like not with this hair, no way. I do actually get questions all the time as well about the sun cream that I use, and I do recommend, if you have tan on and you're out in the sun during the summer, use oil-free sunscreen, and also if you can, oil-free moisturizer, because anything with oils in it, when you're putting it over tan, it will affect it, kind of make it a little bit more streaky more quickly. So go for oil-free. I use one from Supergoop. I think it's SPF 50, yeah, it definitely is, and it's so good. It's so light on my skin. I apply it all over. I never get burnt through it. It's really, really good, and it never affects my tan. I never get streaks from it. So I definitely recommend that one. I'll link it below. And then one last thing that I do want to mention before I stop talking. I've been talking for ages. What's new? This is supposed to be a short video. But another question that I get is, how do you take your tan off? Is the Be Perfect tan easy to get off? What are the best tips and tricks for taking tan off? And this I only realized recently. I struggled always taking my tan off. I will say Be Perfect is not the worst of them. There's been other tans I've just struggled with so much. Like literally, I've been in the shower and my skin has been red raw trying to take it off, and it's just not a good look. So I looked into lots of different ways to take tan off recently, and lots of brands do have, you know, the self tan erasers. Be Perfect don't. So even though I'm an ambassador for them, I still looked at other tan brands to see like what tan erasers they have, and I found you the best one. Loads of you probably already know about this, but it's the Bondi Sands one. Oh my god, this stuff is amazing. Like I can't even tell you. You just put it on your skin. It's a mousse. Let's see if I can just show you a little bit. Yeah, I just have a tiny bit came out, but it's like a mousse, and it kind of has a little bit of a weird feeling. It's quite sticky, but you rub it into your skin, like just kind of pat it all over where you have tan on, leave it on for about 5 minutes, you jump into the shower, get a wet face cloth, and I swear to you, it just comes off. It is so good. Obviously you have to like scrub a little bit and rub it off and put a bit of sweat into it, but it is the best I've ever come across. Be Perfect needs to come out with a tan eraser, definitely, and as soon as they do, I will test that out for you as well. But in the meantime, this is what I do use. It's brilliant. And that's it, guys. I hope I didn't forget anything. I had a list. Like, I think I got through pretty much everything, but if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. I probably forgot something, but just let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to answer everything. I'll put all the links in the description box below. I'll link the tan that I use, I'll link the eraser, I'll link my SPF that I use, I'll link my moisturizer that I use. I'll put everything down there. There goes my phone. I'm late to an event. But that's it for now. I'll leave it here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.